Right, Dog, how you doing, man?
Doing all right, Cam. How you doing, my man?
I'm good. I'm good,
All
man.
right.
Appreciate you taking the time. I hear you have a really good story, really wild story, and I'd like to get into everything. So for everybody who don't know, where you out of?
Now I'm out of Compton, man, the Carver Park section of the Willowbrook area, Compton, California.
Whereabouts in Compton is that? For the people who aren't from
Well,
Cali, aren't from
if
Compton.
well,
Is it like East Compton, West
we
Compton?
on the east side. Compton is broken into two segments of the east side, but we're on the east side. We're the first neighborhood after you exit Watts. So our neighborhood is anybody's familiar with Los Angeles County, Martin Luther King Hospital sits directly in the center of my neighborhood.
Okay. And what was it like for you growing up? And what year? What year did you get involved, mixed up in the streets?
76, 77.
Okay. So you'd be like
I'm 58.
third generation?
Second generation. Second generation.
Second generation.
Second generation.
Okay. And what was Compton like for you during those times?
Well, for me in 76, 77, Compton was just, hell, it was home. Compton was, we all knew each other. We knew everybody's mothers, you know. I lived with my grandparents and my father, you know, because my mother, she lived in Inglewood and it was now in Inglewood, Raymond, Crip hood. And so I would be between Inglewood and Compton, but primary Compton. It was just, everybody knew everybody. All the kids, we knew each other. We could sleep outside if we chose to. We had a swim pool in my yard. As a matter of fact, I lived on what's now Southside Compton Crip, but I lived on Poinsettia for a while with my father, and we had the only swim pool on our street, you know. And so everybody used to come to our house. Then my father was a black nationalist. Then when I moved back with my grandfather in my hood, it just was, that's Brian Berkeley. Everybody knew everybody first and last name. I grew up in that area. So it was safe.
And so your family was mixed up in the streets also?
No. My father was a Muslim. My father's out of Compton. He led my high school to 3 CIF championships. My mother was a captain of the tennis team at Watts Jordan. She grew up in Watts. And actually, as far as street participants, I only had one uncle. And then all of us, you know, to give you an idea of when I say all of us, in 1978, when my grandmother died, this is what her obituary said. She leaves behind 63 grandchildren and 15 great-grandchildren. And at that time, there were only 4 of us, of my brothers and sisters, a total of 7 of us. So that means I had 59 first cousins, with at least 40 of them still living in Compton in 1978.
Damn. So were they all in your area from your hood? Because I know that like sometimes gangs will have like a big family presence.
Okay, my dynamics of my family was, okay, my little brother's Big Oz from Westside Piru. My cousin is Sebo from Westside Piru. He started Deuce Line with a brother named Nob Johnson from Westside Piru. My cousin Jay Money's from Westside Piru. My cousins Eric Sam and Slap Gibson are from Westside Piru. My cousin Troy Elam's from Westside Piru, who was hooked up with Terry Carter, who unfortunately Suge Knight's incarcerated for killing. Then I have cousins that of the LA preacher fame, Reverend Bishop Ron Gibson. That's my first cousin. He's a front hood Compton Crip original. His cousin, his brother Chucky and I gang banged together all our lives, you know, from kids up. I have cousins from Nellie Mel's neighborhood, Tyrone Crosby, Black T-Bone. I have cousins from Corner Pocket. I have cousins from Front Hood. I have cousins from Mona Park. I have cousins from Carver Park. I have cousins from Grape Street. And I can just keep going on. I got cousins from Inglewood family. I can just go, we'd be here all day, Cam.
Man, okay. Families all over.
But a lot of my cousins I didn't even know. To show you an example, which I'll get into later. One of my homeboys shot one of my cousins in the head at school who was a Piru. I didn't even know he was my cousin. I didn't go to school that day, I ditched. When I came home, my father was a big old man, you know, former football player. Rolled me up, boom, boom, boom. I'm every bit of 120 pounds, 5'6". Like, well, dude, what you doing? Your cousin got shot in the head today at school and your homeboys did it. Who was my cousin? Had to ask my sister, who was the clown that got shot at school today? Turned out he's my cousin.
Damn.
You know, so I have a very big family. But I'm Brian Berkeley, but we're on both sides of the fence in Compton as well as Los Angeles County.
What was school like for you?
Well, with me, because I lived in Compton and my mother's an educator. For over 35 years, she was an educator. And at a young age, my mother, basically, she was living in Inglewood Raymond Hood, you know. And So I didn't want to live out there. So I was living with my father. So she said, well, in order for the boy to live with you, he must go to a school in LA. So the first, 76, I got 7th grade. I was getting bused to a school called Overwright. Now you got to bear in mind, all Crips got along. There was no Crip wars. This is pre-A-Trade Gangster, Rolling 60 War, the first war. So when I used to go to school, it was me and a guy named Brian Long, Lil Cat from Rolling 60s, a guy named Tony Strong, Gangster T from A-Trade Gangster, Val Richardson, Lil Vamp from A-Trade Gangster, Terrence Davis, which was Baby Capone from Raymond Avenue, Randy Jackson, who was Killer from 107. All of us turned out to be reputables in our section, and myself. We used to meet up on Manchester and Western every morning, catch the 8:32 bus because we had to get past Inglewood families and go to school in Westchester. Well, my thing was I'm getting kicked out of this school because I wanted to go to school in Compton with my homies. But in order to stay with my father, my mother said, you got to go to Overwright Junior High School. So I got kicked out. And I thought I was going to go to school in Compton. Nah. She sent me to Louis Pasteur, which is on 18th and Cadillac in between Los Angeles and Fairfax. Playboy Gangster Hood, Marvin Gangster Hood. But at that time, they weren't out. So me and Wolfie from West Boulevard, we went to school together. Don Juan, who's a co-founder of Playboy Gangsters, you know, he's a major figure over there. They were C Street Crips, they in Corning Streets. I got kicked out of there in 77, intentionally. Then my mother said, the boy is going to keep kicked out. So she finally let me go to school in the hood, Willowbrook Junior High School. That's the school I went to in my neighborhood, and I lived 4 blocks from there. So right up the street. So I went to school with the homies finally in 78. And I graduated from Willowbrook in 1979. And by then I was already deeply entrenched in the gang lifestyle. You know, older homies knew me because I didn't have any older brothers. So the neighborhood was my older brothers. Compton Crips were my older brothers, you know. And so by then I'd already progressed to a shooter. When it wasn't really popular, I was already a shooter. Out of my generation, I was the shooter, you know. And I started all my homeboys carrying Phillips screwdrivers because I used to sell heroin. And the dope fiend told me one day, quit carrying those flathead screwdrivers. Those are deemed as burglary tools. Carry a Phillips. So I went and bought a Phillips that was blue and white, stuck it in my left pocket next to my bandana. And next thing you know, it became a trend with the Carver Parks and other dudes my age. Then it spread in Compton, Phillips screwdrivers. Then it spread in the Raymond Hood because I used to go to my mother's house. So I know I'm going a little fast for my story. I graduated from Willowbrook Junior High School in 1979. I subsequently went to Centennial. It was a half Crip, half blood school then. You know, the Carver Parks, the Front Hoods, the Mona Parks, and the Pocket Hoods, we all went together. Us and Compton, all of us equaled out to the Pirus that went there. And we had the Crip side, we had the blood side of the school. And my father led that school to 3 CIF championships in the 60s. So that's why I said I went to the school my father went to. My father's out of what's called Palm Lanes. That's my neighborhood before it was Carver Park, Compton Crips. So see, it's generational with me in my neighborhood as far as, you know, family. My family's deeply entrenched there. So when I got to high school, it was Robert Compton and them from Front Hood used to always tell me, I can't fight worth a shit. Straight out. And everybody knew it. I was the dude that like, you beat up who? Because I'd come through with that. And so he used to always say, go steal on that Piru. We got you. So I'd go, a Piru, and they'd come over there, you know, what have not. I'll laugh at it now in retrospect. I wasn't scared to fight. I just couldn't fight. I was that big, man. You know, you hit me in the chest and you're going to knock me over into the wall. So one day, one of my homeboys said to the homies, I'm going to kill the first Piru to come to the Crip side of the bathroom because where we had Centennial set up, this was the Crip side, that was the blood side. And that day I said, well, I'm ditching school. So he got some shells or whatever for 25 that he needed. And I come home and my father rolled me up. I'm like, what you doing, dude? I come to my grandfather's house, you know, your cousin got shot in the head today at school and the Carver Parks did it. The boy had a Carver Park on his Batman jacket. These were blue jackets we used to wear. Called them Batman jackets. And so I had to ask my sister, who's the dude that got shot at school today? What he tripping on? That was our cousin. Fortunately for the dude, he got shot right here. The bullet went in and it lodged right here, so it just paralyzed him. Because my homie stuck the gun to his head and shot him like that.